Did any of the trades we see last week make a difference? What's up, mother puckers, and welcome to the Pucked Up Podcast. I'm today's host, Goss Mall. For the first time ever, you are witnessing history. As always, I'm joined by the wonderful, the talented Danger.
Ooh.
I don't know where she's going to be in the stream, but right now she's next to me.
No, you're correct.
We are also joined by the marvelous and fantastic D, who's I think's up here.
Yeah. Yep, you got it.
And last but not least, everyone's favorite chia pet, Chris, who's right next to me.
Chia.
I have
You
to,
are
dude,
a little
it's
chia
the
pet
hair.
right
It's
now
the hair, dude.
because
know,
It's
you're
look at
the
growing it
hair.
back in.
You're
That's
our
kinda
little
how that
Irish.
works.
You're our little Irish chia pet.
Which is funny because I'm mostly Italian, but yeah.
It does
yeah.
look especially red in this lighting too, because the lighting
know.
is
Yeah.
super red, but it makes it look like, I mean, fucking fluorescent red.
It really does make the red
Yeah.
pop, dude.
The pop,
It's
yeah.
Right.
fantastic right now.
Well, what's crazy is my hair regrowth journey has been documented every week. So if you want to remember what I looked like bald, go back a few episodes and you can literally see the progression of hair.
Yeah.
Look at that intro. What a nice, classy intro.
Thank you.
My guy. Bringing
Yeah,
some
right?
class up
A
to this
professional.
place.
Yeah, right. Don't worry.
If
It'll
we're not
slowly.
restless, aren't Christopher?
I'm not saying we aren't. Deanna.
Oh, he
Oh,
said it. All right, that's being clipped out. Way to go.
Use my fucking government name.
Anyway, y'all, welcome to the Pucked Up Podcast. We have a lot
Yeah.
of crazy, wild things to go over this week. So let's get to it. I'm going to
Yep.
pass it over to D, who's going to start, as always, with the 3 players of the week.
Hell yeah. So we're going to start with the PWHL's 3 stars of the week as presented by Shark Beauty of Canada. Can't forget that the US version just said, fuck these women, and didn't want to sponsor. JK, I'm sure that's not it.
Isn't the league based in Canada?
I mean, that's not important here, Chris. I want some American representation, goddammit. Anyway, so this 3 stars of the week is for games from March 10th through March 16th. We have as our 3rd star, Corinne Schroeder, the goalie for the New York Sirens. Schroeder played a crucial role in backstopping the Sirens to 2 straight victories last week, helping her end her team's 9-game losing streak. Oof. With a .953 save percentage and a 1.48 goals against average. The goaltender made 28 saves, including 16 in the second period, in a 3-2 overtime win against the first place Montreal Victoire on Wednesday to secure New York's first victory since January 27th. She made her second straight start for the Sirens on Sunday during the 8th stop of the PWHL Takeover Tour. More news on that in a bit. She made 33 saves while allowing just 1 goal against the backstop to the Sirens to their second straight victory. With the pair of victories, Schroeder now has 8 wins on the season, 1 more than her inaugural season, moving her into a tie for 3rd in the category with Minnesota's Maddie Rooney. Schroeder ranks 4th in the PWHL with a .915 save percentage, having faced the 4th most shots, 468. She is also one of just 2 PWHL goaltenders this season, tied with Rooney, with multiple shutouts, having had 2. Our 2nd star, Abby Roque, a forward for the New York Sirens. Roque has been named the 2nd star of the week after an impressive showing that included recording points in both games for the Sirens. In a pivotal matchup against the first place Montreal, Roque helped the Sirens snap a 9-game losing streak with a 2-point performance. She scored the opening goal of the game, a key strike to ignite her team's offense, and later assisted in the 3-2 overtime winning goal, marking her 2nd multi-point contest of the season. Roque, a native of Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Sure. Also, I don't know if that's how you say that. Anyway, she also contributed in Sunday's PWHL Takeover Tour, assisting the Sirens in a 4-1 victory over Minnesota. She sits 4th in team scoring with 5 goals and 10 assists on the season, making a significant milestone as she surpasses her inaugural season total of 13 points. Additionally, Roque extended her career high point streak to 5 straight games. which has helped her move into a tie for 15th in PWHL scoring. Roke's impact extended beyond just her point production for this week. She excelled in the faceoff circle, winning 76.2 dyslexia of her draws with Montreal and 52.4 against Minnesota. Anyway, that brings us to our first star, none other than Hillary Knight of the Boston Fleet. For the second consecutive week, Knight has earned the PWHL's first star after a stellar performance in Boston's 5-2 victory over the Ottawa Charge on Saturday. In her only game of the week, Knight recorded a goal and 2 assists, marking her 5th multi-point outing of the season and her 3rd game with 3 or more points in the last month. Against the Charge, Knight recorded the primary assist on Alina Mueller's power play goal at 8:34 of the second period, giving the Fleet a 1-0 lead. Then, with less than 8 minutes to go in the third frame, Knight scored the eventual game-winning goal on a breakaway, her 4th game winner of the season, before adding the sole assist on Jill Solnar's empty net insurance marker. Boston's captain has now recorded 7 points in her last 3 games, highlighted by a career-high 4-point performance against New York on March 5th, which tied the PWHL record for most points in a game. Knight now sits second in the league with 12 goals, 12 assists, trailing only New York's rookie Sarah Fillier in points. She has 25 total. And Montreal's Marie-Philippe Poulin in goals. She has 14. She also sits second in the league in game-winning goals with 4, just one behind league leader Poulin. Knight's performance against the Charge helped the Fleet climb into second place in the PWHL standings with 38 points in 23 games, surpassing their inaugural season total of 35 points in 24 games. The victory also extended her team-high point streak to 8 games. As a quick check-in, let's see where that puts us on our leaderboard. And for the first time in a long time, we have someone breaking away from the pack at second. So we have a tie at third between Gabby Hughes of Ottawa, Hannah Miller of Toronto, Laura Stacey of Montreal, all with 50 points. Oh, and Abby Borain of Montreal also has 50 points as well. Then Hillary Knight has taken sole possession of second with 70 points, and Marie-Philippe Poulin has first with 90. From there, let's go ahead and talk about the PWHL Takeover Tour. They hit Detroit recently, and they had in attendance 14,288 fans at Little Caesars Arena. Now, with that also brought them to their 1 millionth fan of all time in attendance at games, which is really kind of impressive. They've only been in operation for like a year and a half, basically. So 1 million fans. They celebrated it during a special timeout in the first period at Little Caesars Arena, with players from both teams stepping out onto the ice to throw signed PWHL 1 million fans commemorative pucks into the stands, which actually look really cool too. It says on one side, "Thank you to all of our fans. We couldn't do it without you." And on the front, it has a special logo, PWHL 1 million fans. They also released a video on YouTube celebrating 1 million fans. And to date, the league attendance stands at 1,648 fans in just over 14 months since the league's launch on January 1st. Now, keep in mind, that's 14 months, but that's not 14 months of play. Their seasons are very short. They start after the boys and end around the same time as the boys, if not slightly before. So realistically, that is a much shorter time span.
That growth is wild. It's unbelievable how quick it's picking up. And it just further cements the proof that people want professional women's sports and will support it if it's done right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the fact that they did this with just 6 teams in the league too.
Yeah.
Like it's not even like, I mean, you could get to 1 million really fast if you have 32 teams in the NHL. Absolutely. But they did this with 6 teams in less than 2 total years.
And
now, like, you think about it, like if they add 2 teams for the next couple of years as they continue to grow the league, watch that number drastically skyrocket year over year as they add more teams and play more games and get more media attention.
Right.
Well, and let's not forget the fact that the league itself was put together in 6 months?
Yeah.
They started
like a short amount of time.
It was an announcement, and then first game was, I believe, 6 to 8 months, which is insane. Like the how fast this league is picked up, and again, there's, like Maul said, people show that they want professional women's sports, and there's a reason we talk about it. because we all believe in the PWHL as much as we believe in the NHL. And I think that that's so that's so greatly important that your fans are behind you.
And another side note too, to add to that, is this is most of the players' second job.
Right.
This isn't their primary job. So they have to focus on, having a primary job, and then they do this. When it gets to a point where this is all they focus on,
dude,
it's going to blow up. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
That day is absolutely coming.
You've talked about it a couple episodes ago. We will see $1 million contracts quickly in this league. It's going to happen.
By 2030.
We can't wait.
I'd say.
Well, and again, the proof is in the pudding, and they can take their fan attendance numbers, and bring this to marketers. They have exceeded their season total attendance mark from last year. So last year, in 72 regular season games and 13 playoff games, they only hit 483,530 fans. So far this season, with just 70 games, regular season games to date, and I believe this was posted yesterday. 2 days ago. So there's, we'll see an update to numbers soon. But with just the 70 games so far this season, they have hit 518,118 fans in attendance.
That's crazy.
And with the regular season concluding May 3rd and then playoffs beginning May 5th, there's still a lot of hockey left. Yeah. So we could go over 600,000 fans. Maybe even like 630 by the time it's all said and done. And so to see that kind of growth from year 1 to year 2, and then you're talking, now we're going to add potentially 2 more teams into the league next year, which I cannot wait to cover who they are picking. We don't know yet. PWHL, if you want to send us a note and let us know early, I promise I'll keep your secret.
We won't tell anyone.
I mean, but D, if you had to guess, who would you pick? I mean, you got the Marchand trade, right? So you must know someone. So
my lips are sealed.
Okay, all right. Wow. Find out next week.
We'll find out next week. Yeah.
Honestly, I think they go west.
Seriously,
if we're gonna make a prediction, I think they go west. LA.
Yeah, they go to Seattle.
They go to see that being the spots. Yeah.
I would say Seattle is a definite. Whether or not they go further down the East Coast, I think is also a potential reality. Again, just to sort of expand that market and get more people in who are dying for coverage. We may see them go to Detroit. I don't know.
They say they're only doing 2 teams because based on their success of this season, is there a possibility that they may do more if there is enough interest?
So they said at the beginning of the season that they were only looking to expand to 2 teams because they want to make sure they're doing it in a way that's sustainable. And I think that they really took a note from how the rollout of team names and everything went, that people want you to have a ton of thought put into the team's name, their colors, their logo, all of it.
Right.
And so I think that they will only do 2 just to give themselves enough time to fully create that team and create that vision.
Yeah.
But I will say that I think that we won't see them wait. I think originally they had said that they would wait another 2 to 3 years before expanding again. I think that is what will change. I think we won't see them wait nearly as long, particularly with how successful it was from year 1 to year 2. And then once they see the success of adding in this other,
and you don't want to do what the MLS did and just expand to 7 teams a year, and it wasn't sustainable, and most of them had to fold. You have to make sure you're growing with your audience and with the talent. If the talent isn't there, which if you go watch women's college hockey, the talent's fucking there.
Absolutely.
You pose your problems. So I think that would be the smartest way to do it, is to go 2, and then maybe next year, if that's working out well, announce 2 more, and just take it slow. You don't need to hit 30 within a 4-year span.
I mean, as far as the name goes too, is they could just do the Dallas Hockey Club or the Detroit Hockey Club, because the NHL proved us this year you don't have to be prepared.
I mean, they did it. That's what their first season was.
Figure it out.
PWHL Boston, PWHL Minnesota. That's what they did.
Right.
So it wouldn't be the first time.
And so they might still do that, but I think that we're going to see them take more time. I think we'll only see 2 teams, because they're going to want to be careful with it. But I will say, I think another thing, Chris, you mentioned that the talent is there. If you watch the women's hockey, college hockey, I mean, the problem is that women are being forced to choose between playing hockey and having a career, because there are many careers that you cannot do both as a hockey player. So there just are some people who are like, as much as I love the sport, I'll just have to play in a local beer league so that I can have a career that allows me to have like the life that I want to live. And so I think what the PWHL also needs to be focusing on is funding, because if they can bring more funding into the league and they can get higher contract values for these women, I think we'll see the talent increase exponentially. So that is where I would advocate for additional focus to be put if, the PWHL is listening at all.
And so please tell us if we're wrong, PWHL. If we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, let us know. But this is just our outside opinions here being like, hey, let's get these women fucking paid, huh?
Let's get paid.
And I'll be honest, like if they want to take a note out of someone's book who took a sport and blew it up into something massive and now it's selling out NFL stadiums, they should reach out to the yellow tux guy from the Banana Balls, or from the Savannah Bananas.
Savannah Bananas, they are insane.
That story, I mean, I know that's kind of off topic, but like recently that story's been blown up on social media because of what they just did in the football stadium.
Yeah.
And the first thing the guy did when he bought the team is he fired all the advertisers and said, we are going 100% fan first. That's their motto. That is someone that I would be picking his brain, because, in the last game that they just did, they sold out a 65,000 seat venue, and down the street was a professional MLB team, and they couldn't even sell like 15,000 tickets.
Yeah.
Right. Where was the arena?
Give me a sec. I can look real quick.
Also, baseball's not in season right now, so that would probably be why too.
Well, so it's less about that, and also within minutes they were like oversold on an MLB arena, and then they had to move it, and they went to an NFL arena, which notably holds more fans, and still sold it out within a day. Within 24 hours, still sold out an NFL arena for what used to be a college baseball, like silly, goofy summer team.
And now they're
like rec team.
They're like
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is where they are. That's wild that they sold
Raymond James Stadium holds like 65,000 people.
Yeah.
But, again, I know it's a little bit off topic, but if I was the head of the PWHL, I would be tapping that man on the shoulder and just being like, hey, you did something wild and crazy, and you've drastically grown your league. What are some things that you recommend, or could you potentially look at what we're doing and give feedback?
I'd be calling him up. I'd be calling up Paul Rabel of the PLL. I'd be calling up the WWE. All things that have gone from where they were to larger than life. I mean, PLL was just over in Japan. I mean, WWE is selling out massive stadiums everywhere too. Granted,
worldwide,
yes, it's also
now,
different worldwide. There are plenty of people in the industry now that are at the mindset of the future, as opposed to the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, which are kind of stagnated because they have the history. PWHL doesn't have that history. So you got to catch on. And in a world of social media where you're broadcasting all of your games for fucking free, don't think that that's not doing the most out of all of this.
And I'll be honest though, like now is the time that if you were gonna build something, is the time to build it, because so many people just went through COVID, last year, 2 years ago, and they want to get back out. They want to go out and experience things again. So you're seeing record number of attendance to concerts, to sporting events, to just all events, because people want to go back out and socialize, capitalize on that. Grow it, build it, blow it up.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see us at that next milestone. And I think the Takeover Tour is another way that they are doing that. This is their way of innovating in this space and bringing it. And I hope they continue to do it even with the expansion next year, because I think that it really has brought more and more people into the game, especially because they are going to places where there is underrepresentation of women's sports. And that's going to be the key there as well.
Stay away from Buffalo. That's taught. No one wants to watch any hockey there.
Actually, you know what? Though maybe that would like break Buffalo of its issues. Maybe that's what they need is women to come in and be like, all right, we know the men are fucking everything up. Like, just please,
please don't let Terry Pagula have anything to do with that fucking team.
Oh no. There's no fucking way. They'd be like, get fucked. All right. So yes, with that, that number hit that because of the Takeover Tour that happened in Detroit. Again, the New York Sirens won 4-1 over the Minnesota Frost. Another great game. Bryn Schroeder had 33 saves on 34 shots. Nicole Hensley had 20 saves on 23 shots. So New York improves to 27 points in the league standings. Now only 3 points behind fifth place Ottawa with 7 games to go in both teams' schedules. And Minnesota remains in the league's final playoff spot despite the loss, trailing third place Toronto by a single point. So very cool news there. Lastly, we did have a trade alert come out of the PWHL, and that is because the Montreal Victoire traded for Caitlin Willoughby, a forward, and Toronto received Anna Kjelben, a defender. Anna, girl, I'm so sorry. There's a silent J in there.
Or
I did my
is the
best.
K
Let
silent?
me know. Yeah, maybe it is Anna Kjelben. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's Kjelben.
I think Kjelben.
So hit a girl up. Let me know. But Anna is a right-handed defender, so she brings a lot of experience with that, or she brings another side to the game with that. She has international experience and is a proven leader, as she was the captain of Team Sweden. Again, the silent J should have been a giveaway as to maybe her nationality. Willoughby also has been a 2-year member of the Scepters, first joining the team in the inaugural season, then setting a 1-year contract extension prior to the campaign. She's from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, and she's recorded 1 assist in 43 career regular season games in Toronto. Prior to the PWHL, she spent 4 seasons with the PWHPA and 1 season in the CWHL. She also has played for U Sports with the Huskies. So shout out to them. That is the trade there. And that is all that we have for the women's side of things. Should I jump now into our 3 stars for the NHL? Because I do have that.
Let's see how the men are doing.
Well, the men are all right.
They're
looking okay. They're getting a little chippy, honestly. The men are.
They are.
Oh, the fights this last week have been wild.
Dude, it's been crazy. It's been absolutely insane. But like fun. Like a fun insane, I'd say. So this week, which I don't even remember what it's for. Oh yeah, March 10th through the 16th. Our 3rd star is Brandon Montour, a defender from the Seattle Kraken. Montour totaled 3 goals and 3 assists across 3 appearances to lift the Kraken to 5 out of a possible 6 standing points. He tallied 2 goals and 2 assists, highlighted by the winning goal 4 seconds into overtime, tied for the fastest goal from the start of any period in NHL history, in a 5-4 triumph versus the Montreal Canadiens. Montour then scored once in a 4-2 victory against the Utah Hockey Club before collecting 1 assist in a 3-2 overtime loss to the Winnipeg Jets, which again, have to just say, if you're making it to overtime and losing to the team that's like first in the league, you're doing all right. Things are looking up. The 30-year-old Montour shares 4th place among NHL defensemen with 16 goals through 67 total games this season, matching a career high established in 80 games in the 2022-2023 season. Our 2nd star is Jesper Bratt, a left winger for the New Jersey Devils. Bratt notched 3 points in each of his 3 outings, topping the NHL with 2 goals and 7 assists overall to propel the Devils to a pair of wins. He became the 6th different player in franchise history to post at least 3 points in 3 straight games, and the 3rd to do so in the past 30 years, following none other than Jacques Hughes and Ilya Kovalchuk. Bratt registered, it's so funny, every time I say his last name, I'm like, wow, I'm being really mean. I promise. You're a very nice guy. Bratt registered 1 goal and 2 assists in each of his first 2 games, a 5-3 victory over the Columbus Blue Jackets, and a 3-2 win over the Edmonton Oilers, in which he scored the tying goal early in the 3rd period and collected the primary assist on the game winner a minute and 35 seconds later. He added his 9th career 3-assist performance and second of the campaign, and a 7-3 loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins to tie Scott Stevens for the most helpers in a single season in franchise history. The 26-year-old Brat, who has factored on 7 consecutive team goals, sits 9th in the NHL with 19 goals and 60 assists through 68 total games so far. He also paces amongst the top 10 in power play assists, tied for second with 26, assists fourth with 60, power play points tied for 8th with 30, and even strength assists tied for 9th with 33. Lastly, we have our first star of the week, which, I mean, much love to him, is Darcy Kuemper, a goalie for the Los Angeles Kings. We just traded Darcy away, and now he is just doing amazing. Oh. Isn't that how that works?
Yeah.
I do love Darcy, though.
I wish he'd play for a different team.
I loved when he was with us.
Yeah. Kuemper yielded 1 goal in 3 starts, going 3-0-0 with a .33 goals against average and a 9.87 save percentage and 2 shutouts to help the Kings extend their winning streak to 5 games dating back to March 8th. He stopped 33 of 34 shots, including all 11 he faced in the third period, in a 4-1 win against the New York Islanders. Kuemper then earned consecutive shutouts for the 5th time in his career, making 21 saves in a 3-0 win over the league-leading Washington Capitals, his former team. That is in the article. That's not just me at a commentary. And then denying 24 shots and a 1-0 overtime win against the Nashville Predators. What a fucking battle that game was. Holy shit.
That's wild.
The later served as the 200th win of Kuemper's NHL career and also stretched his home point streak to 13 games dating back to December 7th, surpassing Kelly Hrudey. Wow. For the longest such run by a goaltender in LA history. The 34-year-old Kuemper, who has an active 154 minutes and 43-second shutout streak, owns a 22-8-7 record through 38 total games this season. He ranks amongst the top 3 in NHL this season, in goals against average, second with 2.16, save percentage third with .919, and shutouts tied for third with 4. And that is everybody for 3 stars this week.
That's so cool to see a goalie number 1. I love that.
I love when that happens.
I'm all for that because, goalie's my favorite position. So to see them to get to shine once in a while, they deserve it.
I love goalies too.
Brandon Montour had 12.8 fantasy points this week, if that tells you anything about the week that he had.
Yeah, I know because he's on my fantasy team.
Brandon Montour? Brandon Montour plays for me, bro.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking of Jesper Bratt. Jesper's on my team.
Oh, Jesper Bratt popped the fuck off too. Yeah, I was seeing that, and I was like, wow, that is huge.
All right, Danger, you got some exciting news for us?
I do. So, an update on Colorado Avalanche captain Gabriel Landeskog, whatever his name is. I change it every time I say it, so, there's that. But he has been working his way back from a lengthy injury list, as many of you know. He had quadriceps surgery in the 2020 postseason, knee surgery in March of 2020, and March of 2022. In October of 2022, he had a cartilage replacement surgery on the same knee on May 10th, 2023. So, Landeskog has not played since June 26th of 2022, but he is traveling with his team, which is huge news. It does currently remain unclear if he'll be an option during the playoffs, but head coach Jared Bednar told reporters afterward, after Gabriel was I think seen skating with the team, but he would travel with the team along with Josh Manson, who is also sidelined week to week with an upper body injury. Bednar did make it clear that neither player will play just yet, but he wants to give them a chance to continue participating in the skates. Gabriel did take part in a number of drills and even stayed out during the team portion of the skate. This most recent time, I forget, I think it was yesterday, but as of time of recording. All of this does remain an encouraging sign for Gabriel, who is determined to make his return to playing. The 32-year-old has had in total 4 surgeries on the same knee since 2020, which obviously would leave his NHL future up in the air. He has been quoted as saying, "Here I am, 32 years old, really wanting to play hockey and really wanting to continue and see where I can take this thing. He told The Athletic's Peter Bow earlier this month, and then continued, I think that's maybe where we are at in terms of this whole thing. How far can I push it? How good can I get? And I understand that I'm probably never going to skate completely pain-free again, but I want to be able to get to a point where I can at least manage it and then make a decision for myself and see where we end up. Lonzo Ball, who is a point guard for NBA's Chicago Bulls, had the same surgery. So he had the cartilage transplant surgery in March of 2023 and just earlier this season returned to basketball. So that does give a lot of hope to Gabriel. He continues in saying, I've decided to see this thing through no matter how long it takes. At the end of the day, I started it and I plan on finishing it. Landeskog has been with not only the NHL, but with the Avalanche for his entire career. 11 seasons. He has scored 248 goals and has 571 points for the Avalanche, helping the team to postseason 6 times and winning 1 cup in 2021. So, huge news for the Avs. And as much as I hate them for their division rivalry with us, I can't wait to see him back on the ice and doing well.
I don't know if you guys
absolutely, and I
saw
hope
the,
that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, I hope that we talked about him being with the Avs for his entire career, and they've stuck by him this far, and I hope that the owner or the GM of the Avs doesn't take a page out of Boston's book and do something disrespectful.
And just fucking
as we near the end of the
I hope
season.
not. I hope
wouldn't
not.
that be something? That starts an unhealthy trend in the NHL.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys
really
have seen it, but I think it was either ESPN or TNT that did a little documentary series on him to start the year, and just talks about his road to recovery and where everything went. He had 4 doctors tell him his career was over, and he refused to take that. It's one of those situations where he wants to go out on his own terms, and you look at a lot of players who haven't had that chance. I mean, most recently, look at someone like Nick Backstrom, who hasn't exactly had Henrik Lundqvist, who had a heart issue that had to stop playing. Like, these are guys who just didn't get a chance to go out the way they wanted to. And Gabe is foot pedal to the metal saying, no, I'm not coming. I'm not like done until I come back to prove that I can. So, big shout out to Gabriel Landeskog. Like, that's insane. That level of dedication's big.
Yeah. I can't wait.
That's fantastic. I love stuff like that because it's such like an underdog story that it helps inspire other people and bring to light that, like, yes, you may be going through something right now, but it could be worse and you will survive.
And he's the captain.
And you can come out on top,
and
like, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that he was, he's remained captain this whole time. And, I'm sure that it helps team morale to have him around, obviously. Even
the fact that he stayed captain, though, that shows that the team has his back.
Yeah.
Unlike the Bruins.
Well, and then even having him give
Salty, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Give McKinnon his ceremonial stick for his 1000th point.
Landeskog
is the one who gave
1000th
it to him.
game,
So So like that's huge. Like to have him included, even if he's not on the ice, he's still the captain. And that's still his team, which shout out to the Colorado Avalanche as an organization for being there for Gabe the whole time.
And that's
really big.
And that is another example of why it's important in the camaraderie in hockey. I mean, during the Four Nations face-off, we saw Charlie McAvoy show up to the locker room before the game against the Canadiens for the U.S. team and announce the starting lineup and hype up the team. You know? Even though they're not there as captain, you are still a crucial part of the morale and the overall what's the word I'm looking at?
The culture.
The culture around the team. And that's important to keep that. Like, you're there for a reason,
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So, thank you, Adrian. That was freaking awesome. I love that.
Yeah. I'm always happy to report the happy news after, especially long-term injuries like that.
Yeah.
I know we've been talking about Gabe for 3 years at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I know.
The regular on the show, we should have him on.
Dude, I know Gabriel
Yeah.
Landeskog. If you're
Yeah.
listening, bro, please come on and talk to us. We would love to have you.
Just to hear your story. Come on. Give us
Promise
a
I
little
won't
bit.
shit talk the abs too much.
All right, and I guess I will take the next big news topic. Leon Draisaitl is at an 18-game point streak, which is unbelievably wild with the current culture and how the players are in the NHL right now. So, going into tonight's game at time of recording against the Utah Hockey Club, Leon Draisaitl is at an 18-game point streak. He has 27 points, 14 goals, and 13 assists in the last 18 games that he has played, which is the longest in NHL this season and is the lengthiest in his career so far. Wayne Gretzky, who did it 6 times, and Paul Coffey are the only Oilers in franchise history with point streaks of 19-plus games. So he is on the verge of tying Gretzky. I love Gretzky dearly, but his
Hall of
goals are being
Famers.
crushed this year.
Right there.
Yeah.
Like,
He's
to have
getting-
your name like synonymous with Paul Coffey and Wayne Gretzky, 2 Hall of Fame players,
Right.
is a fucking big deal.
And it's so cool that, like, as much as we love Ovi, he's not the only one that's chasing Gretzky's goals. You know what I mean? Like, you guys got to remember, Gretzky has so many goals that it's almost
records,
like the different players are like, all right, I'm taking that one. It's like they had to divvy it up at the start of their careers to see what they were going to tackle.
You had to pick one and go for it.
Yeah, right. Just we know that us as an individual can't destroy every single one of his goals because that is crazy that he was able to do it. Let's just take one, divide and conquer. And you know what? It's working. So currently, Leon is leading the NHL with 49 goals and is 1 away from his 4th career 50-goal season, which again is a wild thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As a team, currently the Oilers sit at 39-24-4 with a total of 82 points. And he has scored, and they have scored over 32 of their goals in the last 12 games.
Which is crazy.
They have been popping off. So,
yeah,
with goals at a premium, the team has adjusted to sweating out results, and they have been putting their numbers up. If I was Utah Hockey Club, I'd be scared going into tonight's game.
Be a little worried.
Now, in the last 6 games, Edmonton is 4-2-0. That's Sunday's 3-1 road win over the New York Rangers was the only game that stretched decided more than a single score. So they've been crushing everyone that they've played the last 6 games.
Yeah.
The Oilers currently are 4 points behind the Vegas Golden Knights for first place in the Pacific Division, which is fantastic to see the competition so close over there, as it is over here as well. They are also trying to stay ahead of the Los Angeles Kings and with at least the top 2 finish for the division because, unfortunately, we're close to the end of the season. So currently Utah, who is 30-26-11 with 71 points, is facing more desperate in the battle for the final in the Western Conference wild card. The Utah Hockey Club, the Vancouver Canucks, Calgary Flames, and St. Louis Blues are all within 2 points of each other for a single playoff spot. And I'll be honest, if I was those teams, I wouldn't worry about the Calgary Flames. They had a rough night last night against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
No.
They got beat bad. So, rising to the challenge with direct competition, the Utah Hockey Club has posted a 7-1 combined record with 8 games. The Blues are 2-1, the Flames are 2-0, and the Canucks are 3-0. This is at time of the article that I'm currently reading, which was yesterday before their loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The latest of those victories came Sunday with Vancouver trailing 1-0 through 32 minutes. Utah scored 3 unanswered goals and ended up winning their game, which was fantastic.
And a couple other stats that you can look at with Draisaitl that it really paint the picture for him this season. 223 shots on goal. He is fucking peppering the net. And for someone who has the level of offensive output that Draisaitl has, it's dangerous to give him that many opportunities. And he's got a plus minus a plus 28. I mean, that's when your top line is succeeding, that's great. Now we've seen this from Edmonton in the past. The problem was depth wise, every line from 2 back isn't doing shit. So while this is super, super big for Leon, I don't know how indicative this is going to be come playoff time for Edmonton, because he didn't really show up last year for points in the postseason.
That's true.
It was McDavid kind of threw the team on his back.
It's still cool though, because he was tied for 4th longest in NHL history by a player born outside of North America. The only players with a longer streak are Matt Sundin, who had 30 games, Danny Heatley with 22, Peter Stastny with 19. McDavid scored his 25th goal of the season, the 9th straight season he's reached that mark. Ovechkin and Draisaitl are the only other active players to achieve the feat of an 18-game streak.
Yeah.
Nobody else has come close, because everybody else has had theirs ended, either because they weren't able to play or they only played for a little bit. And then didn't get much done in that time. So this is still really impressive for the season for him. Big milestone.
Well, and the crazy thing is, all the players that you were just talking about, those records were set 20 plus years ago.
I know.
Yeah.
Minus Ovechkin and stuff like that. So it's this is something that hasn't happened in a long time. And it's really cool that we're getting to see this with everything else that's going on this year. This year is cementing itself in NHL history as one of the most pivotal points for the future of hockey, with record-breaking and player careers and stuff like that. And honestly, I'm excited to see how the last 18 more games, how the last 18 games fare out, and how the playoffs handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Leon, keep doing it, dude. We want to see you beat these people. We want to see you continue to rise, and hopefully next week you'll be, star of the week.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Chris, you got some wild news.
I do. It breaks my heart, but also doesn't break my heart at the same time. We do have our first. No, because we kind of helped play into this happening. But we have our first team officially eliminated from the playoffs. That would be the San Jose Sharks. They were eliminated from playoff contention with the St. Louis Blues 7-2 victory against the Ducks on Sunday. Makes me really fucking happy to know that even if we lose, we affect the playoff potential for the San Jose Sharks.
Right.
It has been a very long and painful road for Sharks fans. The team, before they decided to have a rebuild, would do whatever the fuck they were trying to do, and it wasn't working. It's still not working. They went out and got Macklin Celebrini with number 1 pick in the draft. It's a really good shot at them getting number 1 overall again. This is a team that has fallen far from grace when they made I think it was 2015 when they made the Stanley Cup Finals. Or no, it was 2017. They made the Stanley Cup Finals and lost to the Penguins. That team, you had people like Tomas Hertl, you had Logan Couture, Timo Meier, Joe Pavelski, Joe Thornton. That team was loaded. That was prime Brent Burns, prime Erik Karlsson. Now those guys are either retired or play somewhere else. So, even though I'm a Ducks fan and I can't stand the San Jose Sharks, it makes me kind of sad to see a team that was once so, up at the top, ready to go, ready to win at any given chance, be at the bottom and have
the
to
6th straight season.
Yeah,
the bottom 5 teams.
Yeah, it's been really rough for them. So hopefully this upcoming draft and free agency can be good for them. Maybe they can start working their way up.
But I mean, again, did we talk about it on the show last week or not? I can't remember if I just talked with you about it, Chris. But there was that story that came out of San Jose about Tyler Toffoli being forced to have a sleepover with Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith. Did we talk about this or no?
They asked for a sleepover.
They asked for a sleepover if every one of them scored. And they did. So Tyler was like, fucking, he didn't want to do it. And then the coach was like, listen, I don't think you understand. You have to do this.
You have
And
to.
so when the coach tells you you have to, you have to. So they ended up having a sleepover. They ordered milk and cookies because apparently Will and Macklin share rooms like on most of these road trip, and every night they order milk and cookies when they
Like-
when they play away games.
True 18, 19-year-old kids.
That's
Yeah,
fantastic. They're like,
100%.
we're away from our parents. Let's get milk and cookies.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was just so cute. They like literally rolled in like a sleepaway or like a
Yeah.
sleeper cot for Tyler to be on.
That's so funny.
And like the vibes are just immaculate. We're not seeing any of those stories out of Chicago because the vibes suck. And instead you're seeing Connor Bedard, yes, do great things, but then he also got like a penalty for fighting the other week or something like that.
Yeah.
And like mouthing off to the officials. Oh, that's what it was for. It was for mouthing off to the officials. Which like think it tells you a little bit about the vibes. And so while yes, they are at the bottom of the league, I think that they're in the right place for a rebuild. I think right now hopes are high and they're getting that team vibe going. And as that continues to grow, I think the skill will grow as well because they're not untalented players. Anyone who's made it to the NHL is not a fucking bum.
And there's
You know
a
what
lot
I mean?
of
So I think that
promise.
they're fixing what they can.
They have a
They
lot
just
of
have a
it
very
just
young
sucks.
team, right?
It's a mixture.
If I remember correctly.
It's
a bit of a mix.
mixture.
Yeah.
Or am
You
I
got a
thinking
lot
of the
of guys.
Blackhawks that have the very young team?
The Blackhawks do have a young team. They are starting to
Yeah.
pull a lot of people up.
Yeah. They
From
need to.
from their lower division. They have a lot of great guys. You have guys like Kevin Korchinski, who's been down in the AHL for a while. They have that's his name, Artem Leshudnov, who's also another great defenseman down in the AHL. There's a lot of really, really good talent down there in their farm system.
Looks
but
like
I
their
mean,
average age is 27
yeah,
for the Sharks.
yeah. I was just looking at their. But I mean, there's still a lot of great talent. Obviously, Macklin Celebrini is showing us everything that we expected. Captain Logan Couture, who's been there for forever. William Eklund's a great player. They have Georgiev. Noah Gregor's a good player. Klim Kostin's a great player. Timothy Liljegren. Like, there are players on this roster. That I mean, Tyler Toffoli as well. There are players on this roster. This roster just needs a kick in the ass. Really, they just need someone to point them in a direction and just go to go towards that direction.
Just for the stats of it, because I think it's fun. The Buffalo Sabres have the youngest average age in the league with 25.3 years, followed by the Montreal Canadiens at 25.5, Utah Hockey Club 26.17, Columbus Blue Jackets 26.45, and then the Anaheim Ducks with 26.48 being their average age.
They're pretty young.
And
Ducks
Chicago is at 28. So Chicago is actually older than San Jose.
Yeah, I mean,
in average age.
You got a good amount of guys
Chicago.
on the team. I mean, look at Nick Foligno's one of the older players too,
Yeah,
which is even
they're
crazy to
dragging
think
the age
about.
up. The Pittsburgh Penguins currently have the oldest average age with 30.9. And this was
Thanks, Crosby.
from the summer.
I can name
Yeah,
you
this
fucking
Oilers
with
5 players on
30.5.
the team that are over 30 right now.
Yeah.
No,
So it's
that's
kind of
crazy.
interesting.
So it is. You know, I will say though, I wonder if the Leafs order milk and cookies since they're sponsored by Milk and Oreo.
That if
I
they
know.
don't, that's a goddamn crime.
Yeah, right.
It's a shame.
Like, I feel like they're missing out on an opportunity there. Like, you got the brand
Yeah.
deal, so capitalize on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Minnesota,
all right. Well,
you're the third oldest with 29.9, by the way. Just so you know.
I love that their stats on the average age of the team.
Yeah.
That's
That is
freaking
terrific.
great.
Yeah.
So that brings us into everyone's favorite segment of the week, question of the week. So we're going to talk about the general managers. So they're meeting this week to discuss the collective bargaining agreement. And what is one thing that you think that they need to address? Danger, I'm going to have you start with this one.
You know, I've been trying to figure out what I was going to say to this. And while I'm not, so Chris, I think, knows probably the most about the specifics of the CBA. So you can correct me if I'm wrong on thinking that this is one thing that they cover. But I think it's the consistency of the calls. which we've talked about a lot. I know they're talking about a lot of the stuff that goes down in the crease and whatnot. Which I loved the quote from Jonathan Quick, which is, him saying, "How in the explicit, fuck, basically, are you gonna know if I can make that save or not?" Because they're saying that that's one of the things that they consider, which was funny. But I think overall, it's the consistency of the calls for me, and I don't know how to label that and word it into the collective bargaining agreement. But if you're looking at how the refs are making calls to, goaltender interference and that kind of thing, I think you can widen it even more. I don't know. It's a hard question to answer this week, man.
I mean, but you bring up a good point, though. And I mean, I know we kind of talked about it a little bit before we started the show, that, you look at that and so many, Dee brought it up that they did 54 reviews. Like, over the last season, they took 54 of the challenges on goalie interference.
That was just for, they only reviewed 54 in the meeting. I don't know how many there was over the season.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for like again, anyway, they took 54 different calls that were made, and they reviewed them just for examples, and the GMs agreed with 52 out of 54 of the calls that were made. Now, where is the difference? Because we've watched hockey all season long, and all of us can agree that some of those calls were bullshit.
Yeah.
Right.
And we talked about it the other day that some of these challenges, like, they have so many frigging cameras around this arena. Why is it that when it goes up to the room for review and the refs are looking at it on the tablet, they only get one angle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the new technology that they have, that they're starting to do 3D renditions of the live games.
Right.
Yeah.
How are you tracking the puck if you can't even see it on the camera?
Yeah.
That they're making these calls with,
Yeah.
So I think that they need to spend a lot of time focusing on what can they do to empower the refs and officials to make better judgment calls, because they can't see everything.
Right.
I would be scared shitless if I'm on the ice with those monsters.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Refs are getting checked. They're getting accidentally hit with a puck. Frig that. I'm out there like, if I was out there, I'd look like Frogger trying to dodge traffic. Okay, wouldn't
You'd
be
a full
good.
bubble.
Exactly. Put on one of those bubble suits and get out there as a ref.
Yeah.
But I think that that's something that they should focus heavily on, is like, how can we help the calls to be made more effectively and to make the game safer and fair? Because some of those calls are BS, and some games are you're lose by one goal, and that
That's
challenge could have been the difference between an overtime win and an overtime loss, or whatever. But
Right.
Dee, I'm curious on what are your thoughts on what they should be kind of focusing on.
Yeah. So I think with the collective bargaining agreement, one of the things that I want to see more of is more protection for players. We've seen that DOPS has been maybe a little bit more consistent this year with suspensions and fines and other types of penalties for checks to the head. But I would love for the CBA to take it even further and to ensure that we are seeing suspensions, and because the play isn't stopping, right? Like, we continue to
Right.
have really dangerous hits where contact to the head is like the primary point. And so I want to see them to take more in order to try and prevent that. And with that, I also want to see them offer more protections in the form of what they get for concussion protocol and things like that. The spotters in the NHL are far better than the spotters in the NFL. They actually do remove people if they see concussive signs. And that's great. And I don't think that there needs to be more happening there, because I do think that they are catching it. I just don't think that they are giving oftentimes, and I know that part of this too is like the players all want to be out there, right? But I don't think that they're giving the players enough rest to fully recover from a concussion. And because there's still so much unknown about traumatic brain injuries and things like that, it's kind of hard to be like, okay, well, this is what we're doing. Here is the finite thing about what causes CTE. We're not there yet as a science. And I totally understand that. But I do think that there are more protections we can take. And I think that there are more physical protections with helmets as well that we can take. I don't know when the last time we looked at our skating apparel was to see what additional protections could be added in. But I think that that is something that they should be focused on too. Because again, the players are the ones who are putting their body quite literally on the line for 80 some games, 82 games, and potentially more a year. So we should be ensuring that their bodies are protected, because it's the only one they get for their entire fucking lives. So let's take the head stuff more seriously.
And I honestly couldn't agree more. I'm really surprised that, for example, net guards aren't being recommended or mandatory, especially with what we saw last year,
Yeah.
That's one of the things where it's like a tragedy can happen like that at any point. You're literally skating around at like 30 miles an hour with knives on your feet.
Right.
Yeah.
Accidents happen, unintentional things happen. Players are getting checked so hard that they're going ass over tea kettle and their feet are going in the air. I don't know about you guys, but if you take a hard hit, you have no control. You just ragdoll it,
Yeah.
Right.
So I do agree, and I think that player safety needs to be a center point and a focal point of the agreement. And they need to see, look at hockey 100 years ago when the goalies played with no mask, and now look at the monster beast of a mask that they play with now. Like, that showed progress.
Right.
What's the next step in player safety that they can do to protect the players, make the game safe, but still make the game fun? Because the last thing that we want to see is them take check-in out of hockey, because it becomes a dangerous thing. And they've threatened that in the past. And we don't want that, because hockey is not hockey without a check.
I agree.
That's the reality of it, I mean, that's so, instead of getting rid of it, how do you make it safer? And taking protocols with like concussion and stuff like that more serious, and even putting more research into it. I mean, the money's there. They have the talent. They have, I hate to say it, but they have a group of people that they can study.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Utilize the data that is there.
Yeah.
You have applicable real world data for 16 plus years that you can utilize, make it mandatory where, at the beginning of the season, at the end of the season, or even in the middle of the season, players have to go for a CT scan.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to track how things happen
Well,
as
and
they
with
take
CT
these hits and
scans,
stuff,
Yeah, with CT scans too, you don't get the radiation danger that you do with like MRIs. So, I think that would be a great tool to utilize.
And
because
honestly,
a lot of people are worried about it. And honestly, with MRIs too, it's such a minuscule amount that getting one MRI a year is not going to kill you, like long term. Getting 10 of them a year isn't going to increase your chances of death.
Well, the thing is, like, a CT takes a whole 3 minutes to friggin' do. The players have to go through
CTs
physicals.
Right.
Make it a requirement where every quarter, every semi-annual, they have to do a scan just to make sure that their body's okay.
Yep.
Provide that as a perk to be a hockey player.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great dental care, like above standard dental care.
Right.
Yep.
Free dentures or veneers, whatever they want, and body checks. I think that's fair. But I think that's wonderful points. Chris, what about you? What do you think?
So I think the fact that the gap between entry-level minor league contracts and entry-level like NHL contracts it's fucking astounding. I'm actually looking at the current CBA right now. Entry level contracts, your average salary is about $975,000, to whereas minor league entry level contracts are $85,000. Like, we need to be like significantly better about taking care of the minor leaguers. There are so many horror stories from minor league hockey players of like shitty team buses and like not good locker rooms. The equipment's terrible. Like, we need to be actually emphasizing taking care of the minor league players and teams. That's insane. I would also like to see, and whether or not this is a CBA thing or not, I would assume not, but the draft lottery needs to go away. Maybe if that's like a GM thing where they could just be like, we don't want this shit anymore. This is stupid.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean, look to the PWHL. They have a great system.
Yeah.
Just steal it. I mean,
goes back to our point earlier in the show. Reach out to other organizations and see what they're doing that makes it successful. Tap on each other's shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the player assistance fund could be added to by the league itself. If the Players Association wanted to be like, hey, if you guys could, if we reach a certain amount in the player assistance fund from suspensions, if we hit a certain threshold, you guys can match that. Something like that. Be like, hey, just add some sort of levity to this, because while it's great that all of the fines and stuff go directly to that, the league like doubling down to being like, okay, if it hits like 750,000, we'll match that, and we'll, so this way the player assistance fund is readily available for any player that needs it in any way, instead of, and I'm not saying it's not now, but you guys know what I mean. It's just more like strengthening.
Well, it also lends more credibility to that the NV or that the NHL is taking it seriously and actually wants people to get help if they are supporting it financially as well. So them paying into it really does send a message to players being like, hey, we're paying into this because we want you to fucking take advantage of it. If you're not using it, then why are we paying into it, kind of a thing.
Right.
So it gives players more of an incentive to buy in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Absolutely. And I think it's one of those things where, the league is in a good spot right now, and it's in a better spot than it's been in the past. And it's like, how does it continue to keep improving?
Right.
Going back to the goalie interferences that we were talking about earlier, I'm kind of reading up a little bit more on it. And it said that so far this season, there's been an uptick in coaches' challenges for goalie interference, raised into 105 already, when there was only 88 last year. And it's saying that a lot of that is contributed to the new trend that we're seeing for goal scoring of tipping. Are the people that tip, are they in the goalie's zone and stopping the goalie from being able to reset and do what, they're on the ice to do? Are we going to see new rules and regulations come around tipping? Is it going to be something of the past? Is it going to be you can only tip from a certain zone? Because it's true, you do see those players get up in the goalie's face to tip in, you know? So I could see how that is goalie interference.
Well, and
apparently the GMs don't think so, but,
You opened Pandora's box when you removed the penalties for the crease violations, is what you did. I mean, you have now allowed goaltender interference to become such a thing because you can be up in a motherfucker's grill and there's nothing they could do. You could skate through the crease, you could be in that crease area, like it's you
as long as
you
you're not
opened
impeding
that
the goalie.
Yeah, you opened that whole can of worms right then when after the 2000 it was a 2000 Stanley Cup or something like that. Like you kind of did this to yourselves.
Right. And it's something
and
that's not going away because they have a freaking commercial.
Yeah.
With the focal point about tipping.
Yeah.
So they know it, they love it, they're capitalizing on it.
Right.
I don't have an
what are
issue
they
with
gonna
tip-in
do?
goals. What
don't
I have an
either.
issue with is inconsistent calls.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm so curious as to. It's great to know that there's 105 coaches challenges, and they only showed 54 videos. And I just have to imagine that the other 50 videos, 51 videos that they didn't end up showing, were so wildly opposite of the ones that they did show. Because we've seen countless goalies be like, I don't know what goalie interference is because last week they said it was for this, and this week this to me was way worse and did actually impede my ability to tend goal. And they said that it was fine. So when that is happening, clearly there is an inconsistency there. So I'm just really curious about that.
So
Yeah,
it'll
and
be
I
cool to
mean-
see what the result is of this annual GM meeting. You know, NHL, hit us up. We got a lot of really good points.
Well, and
You know?
the cool thing is that the CBA itself is available to the public. The NHLPA has a website based on. I'm actually looking at the PDF right now. You have access to everything that goes into it, and the transparency with the fans is, to me, a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Because I can go and
Also,
look and be, oh, cool, you know.
With that, we won't see anything specifically changed to the CBA right now because the CBA has been ratified through the 25-2026 season.
Yeah.
So this is all in talks for the changes for next year, but I think we will hear a report saying like these are the things that we're going to continue to consider. And just for those who are curious, this version of the CBA was ratified in 2013 after the lockout, the famous NHL lockout. So I think that they're well overdue. They ratified it for an extension because we're in the middle of COVID times, and that was just easier given the landscape of everything. But we are well beyond due for a new CBA because it is quite outdated.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is like they want to prevent another lockout.
Yeah.
You know, because in the last 40 years we've had 3.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, you definitely want to make sure that you are addressing things, you know, because times change, the game changes. I mean, I think we can all agree that when we were younger watching hockey games, you were lucky to see it go over 3 or 4 goals collectively. You know, now we're seeing some teams get double-digit scores or goals, which is wild. You know, so with that comes more physicality, comes with more players wanting higher pay because they're performing better. With goals being broken, you know, they're cementing their name in history. So much has changed in at least the last 12 years since they revised this that it's time to see an update. And I hope that we get one.
And we'll cover any sort of conversation from the players about the CBA change as it comes up, as it comes due next year. So make sure that you have already hit that follow button on our channel so that you can see whenever we talk about this subject next.
And if you have any ideas or things that you think are important that the NHL needs to change and address, comment down below. We love hearing from you guys. We love learning what your thoughts are. You know, we'll take stuff like that. We'll put it in future episodes. You know, we'll answer those questions. That's what we want, you know? So let us know what you guys think, and let's start a conversation around this and how can we make the league even better. With that being said, Danger, you got some updates on some injuries.
I
and
do,
suspensions?
but first, we do have one more suspension it stems from March 12th. The suspension was given on March 13th, but Connor Zary from Calgary got suspended for 2 games for elbowing Elias Pettersson. That forfeits $8,993.06 for, I believe, the lowest all season. Yeah. The lowest forfeiture. Yeah. Of his salary. But no new fines, which is awesome. As of right now.
Not gonna lie, you can elbow me for $8,000.
Right?
Any day of the week. Any day of the week. You want to come up and just blow off some steam? Go ahead.
Punch me in the fucking face.
You have to pay me first, though. Just noted.
Yeah.
Or what it's
That is a
worth.
must. That is a must.
You
have to
try
pay
not
me
to
first.
break my face when you do it, but
I don't
Or
want
do,
personal
fuck
checks
you.
either. Cash or official checks.
Yeah,
I know how that shit
that's fair.
works.
It's like I worked at a bank once, bitch.
Yeah, right?
Or
I know how
Venmo,
scams
because
work.
that stuff is pretty quick.
Non-traceable either.
The injury list. I'll explain that in just a second. For Anaheim, we first have Sam Colangelo. My brain wants to keep saying Now I can't even say the other guy's name.
Cogliano.
Anyway, thank you. Sam
Colangelo.
I hate
Caligula.
it here. I'm not even drunk. I opened a beer.
Maybe I would say maybe
I
you
took,
fucking
like, 2
should be.
sips.
Maybe you'll be good then. Straighten it out.
Right? Yeah.
Get
I
that
have to be
secret
careful with my
sauce.
anemia, but definitely need to at least finish the one I opened. Anyway, Sam is out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least March 23rd. Ross Johnston is also out with an upper body injury, also expected to be out until at least March 23rd. John Gibson, just an update on him, lower body expected to be out until at least March 20th. And then Robbie Fabry, upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least March 30th. For Boston, just an update on Charlie McAvoy. I think we talked about it last week. It was updated last Tuesday, but with that shoulder injury, he is on IR, expected now to be out until at least April 15th. So may or may not see him if they get to the playoffs. I forgot where Boston is already. Anywho. For
Irrelevant.
Buffalo, we have Josh Norris, undisclosed, listed as day-to-day. John Jason Paterka, that's how it is. Lower body, he is also listed as day-to-day. And Juri Kulik with a concussion is also listed as day-to-day. For Calgary, we have Mikael Backlund, upper body expected to be out until at least March 25th. He's the only new one for Calgary right now. They still have Justin Kirkland and Anthony Mantha, who are both out this season. For Carolina, an update on William Carrier with that lower body injury, expected to be out now until April 17th. Sucks to suck. Then we have Andrei Svechnikov, an upper body injury listed as day-to-day. Dmitry Orlov, upper body listed as day-to-day as well. Nobody new for Chicago. For Colorado, we have Josh Manson, who we talked about earlier, with that upper body injury, expected now to be out until at least March 31st. Again, he is traveling with Gabriel and the team to at least participate in the drills and team skates and all of that. And hopefully he and Gabriel will both be back, at least for the playoffs. For Columbus, we have Kevin LeBanc with a shoulder injury on IR, expected now to be out until at least September 15th. Ouchies. I'm willing to bet, yeah, he had shoulder surgery. It doesn't say if it was rotator cuff or not, but I'm willing to bet it was a rotator cuff. Jake Christensen with an upper body injury listed as day-to-day. Elvis Merzlinskins is out for personal reasons, listed as day-to-day, and Eric Gudbranson, shoulder injury on IR, expected now to be out until at least March 20th. For Dallas, we have Niles Lundqvist, shoulder injury on IR, expected to be out until at least September 15th, so he is also out for the rest of the year. And Miro Heiskanen, with a knee injury on IR, expected to be out until at least May 3rd. So he also won't be back until at least playoffs. As is likely for Tyler Sagan with that hip injury. He is on IR, expected to be out until at least April 16th. For Detroit, we have Carter Mazur, upper body on IR, expected to be out until at least March 22nd. For Edmonton, we have John Klingberg, who is out with an undisclosed injury, expected to be out until at least March 20th. Alec Regula with a knee injury on IR, expected to be out until at least March 26th. For Florida, boy, it's still weird to see. Brad Marchand, upper body expected to be out until at least March 28th. It's going to be probably years before I get used to seeing him on a different team. Dmitry Kulikov, the upper body injury, listed as day-to-day. For Minnesota, we have Jonas Brodin with the lower body injury, listed as day-to-day. Marcus Foligno, out for the first time this season with an upper body injury, listed as day-to-day. And then update on Joel Eriksson-Ek with that lower body injury. He is on IR, expected to be out until at least March 24th. For Montreal, I don't know why it's updated, but it's updated for Carey Price. On IR, expected to be out until at least September 15th. He's another one we haven't seen in years.
Yeah.
Or did he come back?
No.
I don't think he even came back. No. He's
No.
the other one that's been out forever. And then Caden Gooley with that quadriceps injury, expected to be out until at least March 30th. For Nashville, we have Roman Josi, whatever, with an upper body injury on IR. What did you say, Dee? Sorry.
Yossi,
thank you. But he is out on IR, expected to be out until at least April 16th. And no new updates on their other guys that are hurt. Been hurt since February. For New Jersey, we have Dougie Hamilton update on that lower body injury, expected to be out now until at least April 28th, which is basically the end of the season. No new updates there for anybody else. For the Islanders, we have Adam Bodequist. Upper body injury, expected to be out until at least March 20th. Alexander Romanov is out with an illness. Expected to be out until at least March 20th. For the New York Rangers, we have Arthur Kaliev with an upper body injury, expected to be out the rest of this season. So September 15th. Oof. Ouchies. I'm looking quick. He definitely won't be back even for the postseason. It says his season has been hampered by injuries. He's 23, has only played 14 games this year. He has 3 goals, 1 assist, and 7 hits, averaging 11 minutes of ice time. And he will be a restricted free agent at the end of the season. So we will have to see, but that is rough for him. Young kid plagued by injuries. For Ottawa, we have Nick Jensen with a lower body injury, expected now to be out until at least March 20th. For Philadelphia, we have Garnet Hathaway, that upper body injury, listed as day-to-day. Rasmus Ristolainen with an upper body injury, also listed as day-to-day. For Pittsburgh, we have Pierre-Olivier Joseph with an upper body injury on IR, expected to be out until at least March 30th. Emil Bemstrom, undisclosed, expected to be out until at least March 21st. Tommy Novak, lower body, expected to be out until at least March 21st. And Ryan Shea, expected to be out until at least March 30th with an upper body injury. For San Jose, we have Henry Thurn. Upper body expected to be out until at least March 30th. And then they still have Jan Rutta and Logan Couture, who are out for the season. And probably, Henry may as well not come back at this point since they're out of the playoffs anyway. No, I'm just kidding. He can come back. I'll allow it. For St. Louis, we have Colton Parayko.
Close.
Parayko. I was close.
Parayko. Yeah, you were close. You were almost there.
Knee injury expected to be out until at least April 17th. So another one. Likely to. He's having a scope on his left knee and will be reevaluated in 6 weeks. So that sucks for him too. For Toronto, we have update on Max Pacioretty with that undisclosed injury. He is still on IR, expected to be out until at least March 30th. And they retroactively put him on long-term IR Friday. Mm-hmm. So he'll regardless have to miss at least 3 more games before he's eligible to be activated. So we will see I lost a headphone. Awesome. Anyway, we'll roll with it. For
It left the
Utah,
chat.
we have
It's gone.
it's probably it's in my boobs. That's awesome. Literally. Landed right there. Update on Robert Bortuzzo with a lower body on IR, expected now to be out until at least March 20th. And Liam O'Brien for Utah, also out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least April 12th. For Vancouver, we have Connor Garland. I'm all over the place today. Sorry, guys. Undisclosed, listed as day-to-day. Philip Chittle, upper body, expected now to be out until at least March 20th. And then nobody new other than those ones. For Vegas, we have Shea Theodore, who is out with that arm injury, expected to be out until at least April 6th. Raphael Lavoie? Can't. Lavoie? How do you say that name? Lavoie. Okay, thank you.
Lavoie.
Upper body on IR, expected to be out until at least March 20th. For Washington, no new updates or new injuries. And lastly, for Winnipeg, Neil Pioink. Literally how that looks like it's pronounced. That's awesome. Lower body injury expected to be out until at least March 25th. So that is what I have. And it looks like from the time I saved this, Connor Garland for the Canucks was still on the list. And he said it was a game time decision for an undisclosed injury. It looks like he was activated. I don't remember him being on there. So
nice.
Yeah, he's off of the list. So nope, that's a lie. Hold on. I was looking at Calgary. Yeah, Connor is still on this list, but hopefully he'll be back because it's game time. Anywho, that's
Well,
what I have for
hopefully
ya.
they can
Yeah.
recover quickly and come back to the season before it ends and help their
Come
team
back to
win.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please, we miss you guys.
right.
I think I have like 2 of you on my fantasy team. Like, I need you.
Oh,
Get in
my
my team.
fantasy team. I could make moves, but I'm not making playoffs, so
No, I'm a steaming pile
basically
too, so I
set it
get
for the
it.
rest of the season.
Steven
And
Pile.
Yeah.
I can't hear you
Speaking of
guys from the
fantasy,
top.
Chris, you got an update on fantasy for us, buddy?
Yeah, I mean it's real hard to hear you guys from all the way up here on this pedestal.
Oh, God.
Yeah, well,
oh, I'm gonna fucking
Eat shit,
slap
Chris.
you
Listen,
so
I
hard.
have genuinely never once been cocky this entire season, so I respectfully will pick this one moment.
he says that, but we're gonna post
You
the
have been cocky this
league
season.
but
chats,
not like
and you can
that
see his
level
shit.
cocky. I also, again, I feel like I've earned it this season. We are on our final week of regular season for the fantasy hockey season. We just wrapped up week 21. The scores were D posting an even 100 to beat Wes 176. Matt beat Dave 96 to 70. Marcello beat Danger 86 to 79. Maul unfortunately lost to Drew 113 to 101. And I don't even know if John showed up because I won 114 to 64.
Close game.
I was one of the beneficiaries of both Brandon Montour's great week and this 18 game point streak that Leon Draisaitl's on.
Yeah.
Wow.
No shit.
Yeah.
Heading to this week,
it's going to be different.
Well, next year's 100% going to be different because everyone's learned from what not to do this season.
And Chris is going to go last in the draft.
Yeah. But
by default.
I will. But I'll get back to backs. That's right.
Nice.
I hope next year everyone becomes way more even. This week we have Drew and D are playing. John and Wes. Another mother-son battle with Danger and Matt. Marcello and Maul, and my final opponent of the season is Dave. We've reiterated that our playoffs are already taken care of. It'll be myself, D, Drew, and Wes. But there is still the consolation bracket for everyone who didn't make the playoffs, so you guys do still get 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks or whatever it is of hockey, fantasy hockey stuff, which I think there's a little prize for the winner of the consolation bracket too. I don't remember how ESPN does it. But yeah, it's been a really fun year. I'm excited that we've got so many people that are new to fantasy hockey or people who haven't played in a long time. I'm really happy with how into it people have gotten. And next year I think we're gonna see a lot closer teams.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we better.
Well, and how have your experiences been with it this year? Like for all of you, that's a good question.
I'll be honest, this is the first time I've ever played fantasy hockey. I have experience in fantasy football, not a lot though. More fantasy experience in Major League Baseball, which is interesting because I don't like baseball, but I play fantasy in it for some reason. I really enjoyed it. My biggest takeaway, and I think the thing that I need to focus on next season to do better and not, be the caboose of the league, is figure out how the hell to get the fantasy app to work on my phone because that's still a work in progress. And B, remember that unlike fantasy football, you don't set your line once a week. You have to do it daily.
Yeah.
I mean, you can set it once a week. I, for the most part, set mine once a week. And just like spot check here and there. But
you have to be
do
more
have to pay
attentive to it is what I mean. Like you have to
on the
actively
apps.
you have to actively be like, it's not like, oh, I'm playing one team this week. I don't have to do anything because it's only one team.
Right.
You're like, holy shit, I have 5 games this week. Shit.
Yeah.
So my biggest takeaways, and I think that you'll see a good improvement for me personally next year on being more attentive and having the app to stay updated. I think that's going to change my game, tenfold. Also,
Oh, absolutely.
This is me coming back into hockey after a very long hiatus. So, I'm getting back into the swing of things and understanding the players and the trends and who's good and who's not good. And, just because I know a player or I like a player doesn't mean I should draft a player, especially when they get drafted and then kicked down to the AHL and then do absolutely nothing for me for half the season.
Right.
I was the only person to draft him in all of fantasy hockey, so I will hold that as a win.
You were, in fact, the only person. You were.
Yes, it was 0.01, and that was me. So
the
you're welcome.
0.01. Yeah.
Don't know if you paid attention to you.
Kuznetsov?
No, it was Bradley Nadeau.
Someone somehow drafted Kuzi, and I was like, how the fuck did that even?
Didn't I have him? I feel like I had him.
It might have been you.
I don't know. It was so bad.
We definitely did a lot of work.
Bradley, if you're watching, dude, you killed it in college, and I was really hoping that you do good in Carolina and the Hurricanes, and you got kicked down to AHL. But I still drafted you, damn it, because I believed in you. Come back next year, please. I want to pick you up again. But I think that's my biggest takeaways, and I think, I enjoyed it, so I can't wait for next season, and I'm kind of sad that the season's almost over.
That's fair.
Yeah, I had a blast. I was in a different hockey fantasy group last year, and my experience was less than stellar. So doing this time around with a group of people that I half know, half don't, because there's like 2 or 3 people that I don't know. But it was a much nicer experience for one. For 2, definitely some things I would change. I went with a 3 goalie structure because I got some really good goalies and then realized that was fucking stupid and I needed to get like other people. So I won't make that mistake next year, but I'm excited for next year. I think it'll be fun. And we'll see who all we can get to join us next year. We'll see who all comes back for it.
Yeah, I had a blast. I, had frequently been in fantasy hockey leagues, like a family league, with people it was my grandma and a couple of cousins and then a bunch of people I didn't know. But this one has been super fun. I obviously didn't pay as close of attention with moving as I should have. But, next year, hopefully I'll be able to get much more attention.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had pitched doing this a while ago, and my only hope here is that everyone involved had a good time, regardless of if you finish good or bad. It's a free fucking fantasy league that at the end of the day, the only thing we gain is bragging rights. And I hope that you had fun, and I hope you guys learned something. I hope you learned,
Yeah.
oh, this is a strategy I employed this year. You know what? It's we didn't do good, but next year we'll learn, and it builds a way for all of us to be able to talk hockey. Like, I sat down with Maul and we went over his team, and I said, look, this player, this player, this player, this player, this player, all got to go. I did the same with Marcello.
Yep.
I know D and I made a trade this year. I helped Dave with a couple people to pick up. So like, the biggest thing is learning the players. And you don't necessarily have to watch every NHL game, but like,
No.
you'll find yourself keeping up with other people. And I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but you find yourself keeping up a little bit with other teams to see, oh, this player's doing really well. Maybe if they're available and I got this guy who's not doing good at all, I can just make the swap.
Well, no, and that's absolutely
you know.
true. And I think that's one of my favorite things that I love to explain to people is I'm like, fantasy makes the game better because it takes teams that you never would watch and players you could give two shits about. And all of a sudden, your team is playing against a player that's on your fantasy team. And you're like, yeah, I hope my team loses. And you're like, that pains me to say because they're my team and I want them to win the Stanley Cup, but fantasy.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
my team's playing. I had that so many times, especially with me having Stuart Skinner as a goalie. Guess what division the Edmonton Oilers are in? Well, they're in the
Right.
Pacific Division, and so are the Ducks, and we play them a lot. So it's like, well, I want us to win, but like 1-0.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And I think that's what makes it so much more exciting. It adds that level of like, I want to see my team win but lose at the same time because I didn't draft any of them because
Right.
statistically they individually suck.
Well, and that's all I hoped was you guys had fun. That's all I wanted out of this was everyone to have fun with it. So sad that the regular season's over, but we got 2 good playoff matchups, and we're gonna have 3 regardless of who ends up winning and losing. We're gonna have 3 pretty good matchups, so I'm excited. I'm excited to see how that goes.
Me too. I think it'll be fun.
Also, shout out to Matt for being the only person to beat me this year.
Right?
Don't say that yet. The season's not, or the week's not done, Chris.
I feel
Well,
like
so
that's
far.
a trophy in itself.
Yeah. He benefited off of a really big day that the Wild had, and I just wasn't able to catch up. So, big props to him. And even when I lost, I sent him a message. I'm like, hey, listen, congrats, bro. You're the only one so far to do it. So yeah. It's been fun though. It's been a really good time.
So, with that out of the way, I think it's time for Chris's favorite segment of the show, the obscure NHL player of the week. All right, Chris, lay it on us. Who do you got for us?
So this week, I have a man by the name of Mick Vokuda, born in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. This right-handed right winger was undrafted, which is actually something we haven't seen on this list this season. He started his career in the WHL in 1983, played until 2012.
Wow.
Well, he retired in 2000, but then played 1 game in the Federal Prospects Hockey League in 2011-2012. But he played 573 games in the show with 4 different teams, 17 goals, 29 assists, 2,070 penalty minutes. Can we take a guess on what franchise that was with? Or what franchise is he the leader in penalty minutes in?
This is an NHL team, right?
NHL team.
All right.
Arizona Coyotes.
He's from Saskatoon.
Yeah, his his birthplace isn't indicative of where he played.
Well, I mean, would take that from me, I guess. Shit.
I don't want to bring your hopes
Is it
up,
a
Brad.
team that still is currently playing?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Tampa Bay Lightnings.
No, but he did play for Tampa Bay, but that's not the team.
Worth a shot.
Danger, you have a guess?
I don't at this point.
Okay. Well,
I
he
have
played.
no idea. Like, I know nothing about him, so.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't either. But he has the record for most penalty minutes franchised with the New York Islanders, where he played the majority of his season or majority of his career. Last 2 seasons in the NHL, he played for both the Tampa Bay Lightning and then the Montreal Canadiens.
Damn, I was so close.
You were. He played his last 2 professional seasons in the IHL with the Utah Grizzlies. And yeah, then just retired. There's really nothing else on him except for that.
Yeah.
Despite not being a major goal scorer with only 17 career goals across 575 games, he did score a hat trick against the Washington Capitals in a 5-3 Islanders win at Capitol Center on October 20th, 1989.
There you go.
So this dude was doing it
All
before before like 3 out of the 4 of us were alive.
That's
Interesting.
unbelievable.
But yeah, shout out to Mick Vokuda for being our obscure NHL Player of the Week.
Awesome.
Well,
He's
I'll
also
definitely say
smarter
it has
than your
been a
average man.
fun, wild, and crazy week. We learned don't kick bears, especially with ties. And if you do, record it. We want to see that. There's a lot of stuff going on. If you guys have comments and want to know more or just provide feedback, comment down below. Like, share, follow. You know, we love the interaction. A couple of you reached out to us last week on some of the shorts and the TikToks that we did. It's fantastic. Absolutely love that stuff.
Yeah.
But all good things must come to an end, including this stream. From all of us at Pucked Up, we love you guys. We'll see you next week in the penalty box.